But if I plan strategically, I can get it right. I'm gonna go where the winners go. Selling ain't an option, no, it ain't in my blood. All I do is try.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. This is the place where we look at relationships to provide a better understanding for both so we can learn and grow together. Good evening again, and thank you to our regular viewers and to our new viewers. We ask that if you like, share, and subscribe, as this one gesture means much to Mondays Beyond the Mic and Bravo with Sheila Network. So, we also have our disclaimer, which is we share from our personal experiences, and we also have house rules, which is respect, respect, respect. If disrespect is displayed, we will remove or silence people from the show. So, with that being said, I'd like to say good evening to my co host, Lady Dawn B. How are you, lady?
Good Monday evening. I am well. I am glad that Monday is down, one day gone, four more to go. I don't know about y'all, but I'm feeling encouraged about the week coming to an end. How about you?
I am I am excited. Listen, for some people, not me, it's a short week, but it's a good week because it's Holy Week. So I'm excited about that.
Amen.
All right. That's what I'm saying. Amen. Now, I'm going to say for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, this is a part two to the topic in which we talked about last week, which was fighting fair. For those of you that followed last week, you realize we did not get into the topic as it was a great conversation. So tonight, we hope that we can move just a tad bit further in this conversation about fighting fair. You think it's going to happen tonight, ladies on B?
We, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna have faith that we get further than last week. That's my
Okay.
answer. We're gonna get further than last.
All right. All right. So I see there's some folks in the chat. So let's say hello. Hello to some of our faithful viewers and some new viewers. So, hey, Anae, she said, hey, at Bravo with Sheila Network. And we just thank Anae for being the greatest moderator in these YouTube streets. So we appreciate you. And Steph said, good evening, ladies. See, Steph came back for part two. So it's going to get gooder and gooder. I know it's not good English, but it's good sayings.
It makes sense. It's appropriate.
Right. Marilyn Jackson said, good evening, all.
Hey,
Good evening.
sis.
And keep me posted said, evening, ladies. Good evening. And thank you for joining us. And Jomo said, good evening. Good evening, Jomo. And Kathy said, good evening. Good evening, Kathy.
We
All
are all
right.
caught up now.
All right. So, as we stated last week, so I'm just going to kind of do a refresh and then we're going to move forward. We're going to see what happens. So, according to choosingtherapy.com, it is completely normal for any kind of relationship to sometimes disagree or argue. However, how the argument unfolds and the impact it has are just as important as the underlying topic of the argument itself. Are, in fact, fair fighting rules you can strive to implement and master the will to help maintain a healthy relationship. So, we're going to just move and say what can cause conflict in a relationship. There are many things that can cause conflict in a relationship. People are all different and have different life experiences and expectations. So when couples come together, they are bound to be disagreements and fights from time to time. I think we kind of talked about that last week, saying, conflict is not a bad thing. It's how you conflict. So it says causes for relationship conflict that can lead to fights includes, this is not the only, but here are some: control issues, trust issues, commitment issues, and individual history of trauma. What do you think about that, Lady Zombie?
I think these are really great key points. I think they are a lot of the root factors of other things that build up on top of it. And a lot of times we're arguing over the results of these things instead of attacking the actual issue. So it's good to know that I'm pretty sure any argument or any fight that we get into, any heated discussions that we have, are going to be rooted in one of these things, when you get down to it. And that's really the enemy. It's not each other.
Okay, so you mean the heated fellowships? That's what we're calling them. They're not arguments; they're heated fellowships.
Yes.
Um, so okay, okay. So let's look at what does it mean to fight fair? I think we often hear things and we say, "Oh, I can fight fair," or maybe you can't. But what does it actually mean? Because I think a lot of times we have the words, we have the language. However, is in the moment or in the heated moment, we throw all the tools out the window. So we're here tonight to help refresh because, in the words of Lady Zombie, at this big old age, if we want to do better, then we must learn to do better. So it's more than just a desire to do a thing. It has to be the action behind the desire. So Lady Zombie, take it away.
I totally agree with that. I know one thing for me, I would say, is that when we're talking about what does it mean to fight fair, to some degree, to be honest, I never really knew what that was. I didn't grow up in an environment where it seemed like a fair fight, with my parents. It just always seemed like something is not so nice here. So, it's important that we learn that. So it says learning how to fight fair during a conflict so both people feel respected, heard, and valued as a member of the couple, family, friendship, or etc. is crucial to build trust, motivate people to maintain the relationship. That's a good one. Help deal with relationship conflict and keep the relationship intact. That's another good one. If you don't fight fair, emotional pain, distrust, and other complex emotions may result in the termination of the relationship. That part.
Hmm.
What say you, Dr. E?
I mean, I look at this, especially the last part, when you don't fight fair. I just thought of like how many relationships, you know, has ended or have ended because we didn't understand the rules of the game of fighting fair. We didn't build trust. And a lot of times I think that's where it starts. I trust you. It's amazing how we don't trust a person with who we are fully, but people will engage in trusting people with their bodies or things like that. But I don't trust you with my emotions. So I think when we talk about
Hmm.
the conflict could be in there, and this is just me talking. I think a conflict in there could be that when you're torn in the relationship because you're torn in where you stand because I wasn't able to open up to you about the things, the matters of my heart. Now I may feel stuck in this relationship. So now my trauma, as it talked about earlier, is coming out, but we never talked through that. We rushed into other things. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. Something about emotional safety is we like I said, we were so willing to, like, I'll trust you with my bank account before I trust you with my feelings. I'll trust you with my car or my kids before I trust you, with my feelings. And that's because when we trust someone with our feelings, that's what makes us the the most vulnerable, but vulnerability is necessary in a relationship. If I cannot be vulnerable with you, then for me, I don't need to be with you, or we don't need to be together, or we need to redefine the parameters of our relationship, because I don't want to keep holding stuff in. I feel like I'm withholding something from you and I can't fully be myself. There has to be an emotional safeguard. I remember in my second marriage, my ex-husband was like so venomous with his tongue. And I have I'm reformed a little bit, sharp mouth. And I really wanted to, I really wanted to respond back. But, I'm a God's girl. So you're going to get a little Jesus when you get me. Um, and I just remember praying about it. And I was like, God, listen, I need you to like tell me something because I'm about to pop off. And the Lord would just tell me to just don't say anything. Just remain calm. Like don't spew venom for venom. And the reason is because I know my words are going to hit harder. I know that you're saying something out of your pain, and I know what I'm going to say is the truth, which is going to hit you and hurt you harder. And I didn't want to do any more damage, but I just believe that in relationships, when it comes to our emotional vulnerability, this certain words should never be in our vernacular when it comes to a person. It shouldn't even be in our jar to choose from. There's just certain things I should never say to you, because then that destroys that whole space of trust and emotional vulnerability. It takes it away and it makes it worse. And
Right.
that's my take. I see we have guests, so I'm going to bring them up before we move on. And we have some comments.
Yes. Hey.
Hey, how's everybody doing? How's your lady doing?
Good,
Welcome
good.
back.
So we thank you for coming back again, Terrence.
Thank you.
So for
Thanks for
those of
having
you
me.
that missed last week, I said this is my little big cousin, and I appreciate his feedback from last week and asked him to join us again. And thank you for again accepting the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be back. Yes, I definitely like
So
what you guys are talking about. Words are very powerful, and certain words should not definitely be said in relationships or to other people. Name calling is definitely a no-no in my book. Or calling me out of my name was a no-no.
we go back to that sticks and words. Sticks and
Yep,
stones may break your bones, but words they do hurt.
they hurt, and
And
they hurt forever, to be honest. Because like if you do get in another relationship, that person happen to say a certain word that your ex has said, it triggers you again, and you automatically you'll lash out or you'll blow up on a person. That person has no idea why you're blown up, and it's something that a
and
word
that
that
goes
was
back
spoken.
right. That goes back to what we read about individual trauma. So
Hmm.
that is a trauma response that you're having to someone. So let me just read some of these comments. Gaffy Play says, "Good evening, Doc Elaine. Good evening, Doc." Reverend Janelle, she said, "Good evening." She took her nap and she's
Hey,
ready.
I did too.
hey, sis.
Hey, Teresa. Teresa Jones said, "Hey, all."
Yo,
Uh, Mama Rose said, "Good evening, ladies. You
good evening,
both look
Mama
very
Rose.
refreshed tonight." Well, thank you. Do we have any?
How many? It's my mom, y'all. I get a little
Steph,
excited.
Steph says, relation. Oh, wait. You had Stephanie's comment up.
Oh,
Relationships are
my
always
bad. Sorry
going
about
to
that.
be, in my opinion. They are. I mean, I think anytime that two people get together, there's always a risk that we run in vulnerability. And
Hmm.
can I give you my stuff and it's safe with you, or are you going to use it against me? So definitely,
That's
I
true.
agree with
That's
that.
very true. I agree with that.
Reverend Janelle said that makes good sense. Mama Rose said, just to add my 2 cents while I can, I think if the door is not open initially to to form the health of the relationship, they they will never. Am I reading it? Let me go back.
They
I
never
think
will.
if the door, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think if the door is not opened initially to form the health of the relationship, they never will. That is in a healthy way. So yeah, we need to start healthy relationships and really think about what is it that you want, opposed to what do you think is the norm for society. Like,
That's true.
because every relationship is different,
It's
and you
different,
need to
very
be able
different.
to
You're
to
right.
to say this is how I want to do it.
And are you willing to do the work that it takes to get what you say you want on any level? You can only pull
Mhm.
out what you put in.
That's true. Relationship is
This
work.
is
It's
true.
definitely work. It's work and
Yeah,
sometimes
a lot of
sacrifice.
work.
It's a sacrifice too. It's a sacrifice. Instead of hanging out all the time, going to boys or going to girlfriends, hanging out, what now? You want to stay home or you want to run around?
Right.
So, yeah, you gotta figure out what's
So,
works. What's works.
Von Eric, where's your faith? Said blessings all. So blessings to you, Von. Maybe you want to come up
Yeah,
tonight.
blessing to
I'm not sure, but okay.
you.
Come on, Vaughn, stop playing.
Jessica Teal Locks says, hi, just joining in. Thank you for being with us, Jess. Kathy says, fighting fear is me hearing you and you hearing me and being able to make it work for the better of the relationship, and not so much as to who is right and who is wrong. It is a matter of words used.
That's
Yes,
true.
choose your words carefully.
Yeah, that's true. When you argue with somebody, when you're arguing, you really don't hear each other. It's just words being shot out, and then that's when that sharp, those words that pierce you, that comes out that you can't take back. Yeah, so choose your
Yeah.
words wisely. Very true.
And a lot of ladies, we have sharp tongues. So for those of us that were in the reformed or trying to be reformed sharp club, raise your hand. So
Yeah,
we are working again to be better, not bitter. And if we
that's
want the
true.
healthy relationships, we have to be transparent and honest and say, this is where I am. I'm going to always say that. And then this is who I was, and this is who I am, or this is who I'm working towards being.
Yes, and and also you have to respect people's boundaries. Because some people have some people do shut down. Some people do need a little time out. You have to respect that. You know. You don't want to bombard yourself or force yourself on somebody to talk if they're not in the mood to talk at that particular moment. Because
Agreed.
that's when the anger come out of you. And certain words will be said that should not have been said. So yes.
I think it can go both ways, right? Either someone
Hmm.
will have the outburst or people will get extremely quiet because they're not feeling heard, seen, or valued in
Hmm.
the relationship.
That's true. No, and like somebody like me, if you like I said, I don't do the arguments that at all. But somebody's arguing with you and we not paying attention. Sometimes it's like you're not paying them attention. But I'm paying you attention, but I'm not going to feed to the argument with you. I'm not going to do that.
I think there's a major difference between arguing and discussing, and that's the thing. You
Yes.
have to decide which one you want to do.
Hmm. That's true.
Because like you said before, when we're arguing, this is people yelling at each other. You cannot
Yeah.
hear what each other's saying,
Exactly.
and you are
Hmm.
already women. We tend to already create the whole conversation in our heads before the argument. Sorry, ladies, y'all can't put me out of the ladies because So I'm just saying, just trying to help us be better. But the truth is,
Yes.
we go through the whole argument in our head. He's gonna say
Hmm.
this, when he says this, I'm waiting for him
Yeah.
to say that. He said this, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna add this on to it because he don't know that I'm ready today, and this is what it's gonna be. So we have already come with ourselves with our gears already wound up.
Your own scenario. How it's
Yeah,
gonna play out.
and so we're ready to fight most of the time. And I myself had to learn how to, because I don't do this arguing, I don't do this shouting, I don't do this yelling. Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna
That's
do that because it triggers me. I start blinking. I mean, I snapped out, became a whole different person. Like, bruh,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry I tapped your chin, but you was talking to me strong with your chest,
As you said, as you spoke before, like a little scrappy do want to come out. Scrappy do want to come out and scrap.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we know with that. Like, I'm the youngest of four. I got two big brothers, and they didn't. I fight a dude. I'm reformed now. I won't do that. I'm just saying.
I was about to say, what happened to the Reformation?
Don't put that out there. Let's put that out there. But I'm saying,
Hey,
you gotta
Vaughn.
be transparent about it.
hey, Vaughn.
No,
But for real, there's a difference between I had to learn how to not argue, but calm myself down so I can discuss what needs to be discussed without my emotions leading me before I even give you a chance to say something.
Yeah.
but I think that goes back.
I like
What did you say, Lady Tommy?
I like.
I was saying, hey, Vaughn.
Oh, welcome, Vaughn.
Welcome, brother. Welcome, Vaughn.
How everybody doing?
How you doing, brother?
Did Dawn B say she be twitching?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No,
That was triggered.
He said the
It comes out.
I'm reformed. I
Got you. How long? How long you been for the 12-step program?
We're the meeting now. Now we're the meeting.
72 hours. No, 72 hours count. No, I'm kidding. Give you a 72-hour grace period. No, I'm saving you no time to work it out.
At least you started. She started. You're on the right path.
22 hours. I'm still scared of you. I'm still scared.
You understand me? We here. I've been reformed for a while. I had to sit myself down. In the words of Pache, Coach Pache, I have to say self, and self have to say and then I had to get a third party because me and self, we on the same page. So it was always we encouraging each other to do the rah-rah. So
Right. So you had.
But I perform now, Vaughn. I don't.
I got you.
I'm good. I can hear.
Woo saw. You had to woo saw.
I breathe. A lot of deep breaths.
So wait, let me just say this because I know that we have some people in our chat. Please, and those that are in the bleachers, if you can like, share, and subscribe, again, that one gesture means much to Mondays Beyond the Mic and Bravo with Sheila. So please just hit that button for us. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Amen.
Yes.
I think Terrence was starting to say something.
I'm sorry, Terrence.
I was going to say what Elaine
you want to go
said
to comments?
week.
I'm sorry.
She has
no. Let him finish his comment.
Like you had said what you said last week, but I don't write it down. So I wrote it down. How you say like you have a method that you would stop, pause, and think, and you catch yourself, which is it's a great thing to do. Like you leave with your emotion, it could go left quick.
But that all goes with the emotional intelligence piece. And again, that's a practice. That's something that you have to practice continually. When you want to the point last week, like let me at him, and you want to get to like Scrappy do.
You want to twitch. You want to twitch on him. We'll do the twitch.
Right. Or you want to twitch like Lady Zombie or add tapping on the chin. I don't know if people didn't catch that one. She's like tapping on the chin.
I heard that. I caught everything she said.
But that's practice. And I think the beautiful thing is being able to say, again, this is who I was, this is who I am, or this is who I'm working towards, so that you can be a better person. You can show up. I know we talk about relationships, but first of all, you need to show up for you. So if I can show up for me the correct way, then you are getting the best version of me because I've done the work for me. I didn't do the work for you. You just happen to be the benefactor of the work that I've done.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
So let's get to this. Let's get to some comments because Keep Me Posted said, understanding that sometimes they aren't ready to be handed your emotions when they are still drowning in their own. Absolutely. And I think in that comment, that's where communication happens. We need to talk. I need to understand what are your traumas and you need to understand what are mine and what are my
Responsibility.
triggers and what are your
Mhm.
triggers, because we don't usually have those conversations until we see something explode, and then we're like, wait a minute,
Like, yeah,
what
how'd
was
I
that
get here?
about?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
right, how did we get here? And
Mhm.
we could have gotten better understanding and better ways to communicate this
If we
disagreement,
spoke before we
or
got
this
there.
heated fellowship,
Mhm.
had we just been honest and said, this happened to me. And when people say this, now I understand not to use that, because that does something to you, which has nothing to do with me, but it's
Exactly. That's
something
true.
that plays in your psyche.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. I
Talking about
agree.
the way you communicate, right? That's what you're saying. The way you use your words.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you, let's say someone yells, if you have your
A
own
trigger.
trauma about people
Yeah.
yelling
Yeah.
at you,
Mhm.
then
Right.
you're
Get
going to
snapped.
go off, and the other person
Yeah.
is trying to understand what's wrong, and you're like,
Mhm.
well, when people yell at me, this is how I feel.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. But on the other hand, some people get upset when you don't show no emotions.
Yeah, that's true
Like
too.
what the
Yeah.
brother said, Brother Turn said, he don't like to argue.
Mhm.
Some people look at that
Exactly. Oh,
and
you
they
don't
get
care.
really,
You don't
really
care about
emotional
me.
because
Yeah.
they feel as though you don't care. If you're
Exactly.
not arguing with me, or if you're not saying anything, you don't care. What I'm saying,
Mhm.
and I
I
guess
agree with
what
you.
you're saying, Doctor, it goes with the communicating, which words and how you use your words and things like that when you communicate with someone. I just don't argue because I feel as though if a person gets me out of my emotions, that means they winning. They
Yeah,
won.
I agree. Yeah, you're right about that, brother. You're right.
So
Yeah.
so I don't get I practice not to let my emotions get away, because once it gets away, then we both in our emotions and we can't see or hear each other talking. I can't
Mhm.
understand. She can't
Yeah.
understand me because we so much in our emotions. We are not identifying and not, when it comes to our words, the way we put our words and things
Mhm.
like that. And things just get more out of way. So
That's
we're
true.
not
You're right about
defining
that.
our words. That's what I'm going to say. We're not defining our words and things like that. So, but it's also, you have to understand who you with, because if this
Mhm.
person is a certain way, that I must communicate and hope that she's able to receive my words, and then she knows that hopefully that she won't think I'm disrespecting her because I'm not yelling at her. So
Mhm.
I had to come up with, and sometimes it depends on the person, because when you it doesn't matter if they in their emotions and they upset. It doesn't matter what you say to them.
Exactly. Yeah, it means nothing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, I
But
think,
you
can I
know, this.
just say, oh, go ahead, Dawn.
Go ahead, Dr. E.
No, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, I think to what you were talking about, if we start in the communication up front in the relationship of saying, when I get upset, not when we're upset, when
Mhm.
I get upset, I retreat, I don't say much. So
Yeah.
now the person knows your communication style and when you're upset and how to fight fair. I go
Mhm.
back to, we don't have most people don't have these conversations up front, because you think about it, you need to be, especially if you're going to be with someone, I need to see you in all four seasons. And I think
Mhm.
Lady Dawn B has said that before. I need to
Mhm.
see what
Mhm.
it looks like when you're upset.
Mhm.
I don't want us to be
Mhm.
walking down the aisle and now is the first time I ever seen you upset,
Yeah, get
Right.
upset. That's
That ain't
true.
because
right.
I may not be able to handle
Mhm.
that. And if we're
Yeah.
not having a conversation about what that looks like, or if I'm not telling you, when I get upset, I get quiet. When I
Mhm.
Mhm.
get upset, I need a minute. If I'm not, because
That's true.
then you will push a button that I never told you that was a sore
Mhm.
spot for me, or
Yeah,
that was a trigger. Hey,
Mhm.
that's true.
Jess.
Yeah. That's just good.
Hey, there's a lot to be
That's
said
it.
here, but I'm driving, so I couldn't type it
Yeah,
all.
good.
I mean, I think you said it. I mean, I think that was excellent. I think the conversation, the pre-conversations before the first argument or fight or piece is so important, because it really helps you to understand what are that person's triggers. And to your point, helps you to be able to get a better understanding. And if that person, you know, uses your triggers against you, then you know that that's not the right person to be messing with. Then that they're not really for you. But I think that having those conversations ahead of time is really important, because it helps to kind of smooth over a lot of issues, breakups, unnecessary breakups, unnecessary time apart, you know, like I think what happens is that some people, like for me, I'm very clear on what triggers me. And I know I'm very clear on how I show up when I feel very upset. But that took me really recognizing and being honest with myself about those things and how I show up. But a lot of people are not spending time, and I think you said it, which is a lot of people are not spending time with themselves. You can't, going into a relationship or trying to go into dating when you're not healed is only going to break all the other things around you and continue to break you more. So I think that being able to utilize, spend some time to really work on yourself, identify things about how you show up, I think is so important. So that way that you can go into the dating sphere or, you know, in relationships from a healthy standpoint. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, again, if you're not spending time really working on you, it's going to be really hard when you're entering into those battle zones in relationships to fight fair or to come in trying to level set with someone, because at the end of the day you're triggered and you're, you know, you're again, you're in reaction mode. So I think it's just so important for us to really spend that time getting to know you. How do you show up in arguments? You know, do you, if you get quiet, what is it, because of the fact that you're just trying to not be so like, I think, and then giving each other space, like, is space needed? If you get upset, do you need space? Or can I go in and we start trying to troubleshoot then in that moment? I think it's so important. I remember in my last relationship, one of the things that was really important for us is that, like, he's the type of person who needed space. I'm the type of person that wanted to jump right in. So, you know, so as you can tell, it created a lot of flare-ups, because I'm ready to jump in and he's ready to create space. But I'm also a person who, like, when we argue, I don't like to do all that extra yelling. I like, if a man starts to yell and get up in my face or something like that, that to me makes me feel unsafe. So then I start to feel like, you know what, I can't. It makes me go retreat, because I'm not about to go fight no man, you know. And feel free. I mean, you know, tap them on the chin if you want to, but I'm not. I can't.
Since it's on thing.
And you know, and the thing about it is too, in arguments, I'm not a sharp, like, I do say that. I thank God that I'm not, even in arguments, I don't hit below the belt. Even if I could, and I know what I could say to hit below the belt, I often think about what I'm gonna do to try to smooth. Like, if I hit below the belt, then that person might not feel safe with me, right? Because then they're gonna feel like I can hit below the belt again. So, but you gotta know who you are. So that's why you gotta know when to retreat out of things when you feel like you're getting when you're getting there.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thank you, Jess. I think that one of the things is you understand who you are. And I think that's one of the most important things when we bring our whole selves to the table with whomever it is, whether it's in a relationship, a romantic relationship, a friendship. You need to show up with who you are and be able to have those, and I'm gonna call, uncomfortable conversations, because no one wants to talk about what it looks like when we're mad. No one wants to talk about when it looks like, if you have done something that I may see as a form of betrayal, but you may not. You may think it's okay. But for me, I thought, no, I didn't like the way you did X, Y, and Z. So I think that's very interesting. Let's go to the comments. I know we have quite a few.
Yes. Hold on one second. Okay.
Keep me posted is not says not weaponizing someone else's vulnerability in the moment of your own pain. That absolutely, you know, you hurt people, and that's the
Exactly.
thing we have to understand. Hurt people hurt people.
That's
So
true.
can I just say, just with that, I just want to tag on with that, and it's gonna be a little strong. So but I'm not responsible for your triggers. You know, and this is, I'm, you know, speaking from my own, whoever I'm with, they're not responsible for my triggers. I have to own my triggers. We want people to be sensitive to our triggers. And sometimes we are insensitive to theirs. We all have things, you know, so I'm not responsible for what triggers you. I am responsible for what I do that may cause you to be triggered. But there's still a work that you have to do to deal with your triggers, because then you'll go into every relationship expecting everyone to bend to you and to accommodate you, to make it comfortable for you, and you never do the work. And that only perpetuates the cycle of your triggers growing bigger while your healing becoming less. So, we have to own that. If you're aware, and it's because I became self-aware of my issues. So I had to learn how to, toughen up Buttercup a little bit, breathe through it, as we go through it, because this is how you grow. This is how we heal. Everything is not said to hurt us. Sometimes, people are telling us truth. And I think we also have to be honest about those things that we struggle with, that are our triggers, because some of us don't even realize the things that trigger us because they become our norm. So it's hard for me to decipher or to receive what somebody's saying. Like, nobody can say nothing to you because the minute somebody says something, you pop off. You're like, no, I don't. And you're like, you just did. It's like, because we take it in a way like somebody's telling me I'm wrong, or someone is everything is not a criticism. It's things that are brought to our attention. So I have to look and stop and say, why do I feel this way? Why do I react this way? If you want someone to work with you through it, but I think we just have to be honest and own the fact that this is what triggers me. In order to have that conversation that Dr. E was talking about, that uncomfortable conversation, I got to be willing to be honest about it. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Steph said, I used to always do that. I talk it all out of my head first. Sometimes we just like, I talk it all out of my head first. We will go way beyond, and the person didn't even say that. And then when they didn't say what we thought they to say, because we premeditated the conversation, and then we're like, wait, I didn't plan for that. Now we mad because you didn't say what we thought you was gonna say. Hey Carlia, she said, good evening. Not the chin tap. Yes, Lady Dawn B. I too am a work in progress. So we got two chin tappers.
Oh goodness!
Yeah, guard your grill. They say, got to guard your grill with you, dog.
Guard your grill.
Yeah, guard your grill with you.
You got to
have the chin tap.
Yeah, you got to practice Floyd Mayweather defense.
Don't poke the bear. You won't hear what it says when it wakes up.
Theo said, good evening. Hey, Theo, good evening.
Oh, look who's in the building.
Hey, William Michael Barbie. Good evening. Good evening. He's going to stay in the shadows? I'm not sure. But we appreciate you, sir.
I'm not saying nothing.
He says, that's right, Dr. E. Teach EQ versus IQ.
That's a good
one. He says, Terrence, that's still a form of communication. And then he says, I'm sorry, that comment was meant for Vaughn.
What?
He's just talking. He said, Vaughn, I agree. Understanding your partner is half of the issue. Understanding your emotions and triggers is the other key component. Yeah, we got to know both. Reverend Janelle said, I used to be guilty of getting annoyed when the other person needs a minute. However, I've learned that it was best for both of us. Right. And sometimes we want what we want when we want it.
Yeah.
And the other person can't give it to us. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terrence.
Yeah, I always say that. One of my biggest words I always say to anyone I'm in a relationship with, I always say, let me know when you're ready to talk. Because I'm not a dictator. I'm not Fidel Castro. I'm not Hitler. Hey, when you're ready to talk, let me know. Because you force somebody, that's another thing that can make a person go off.
And it feels like you're bullying them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're bullied. It's like, hey, let me know you're ready to talk. And at the same token, there's no time stamp. Like, you don't have to talk to me right now, not tomorrow. When you're ready. But I found out that method works for me a lot. Like you said, instead of bullying them, putting against the wall, but hey, you got to talk to me right now. Like, we got to resolve this right now. And it's like, no, I don't feel like talking to you right now. I was like, I really don't. And then it just escalate. So
Yeah, but it
I'm
can't
not
be
sure.
5 to 10 business days either. Like, bro,
Okay, all right.
what we do?
Dawn is on
Another
fire today. She's on
Oh my goodness. Oh
what
my
we do?
goodness.
I work in the postal
I'm
service,
just
so I understand.
I'm just
She need express mail.
Yeah, she did
Oh
express
my
mail. Like, yeah, she done
goodness.
certified
something.
express mail for Dawn. She got the signature and everything.
Said 5 or 10 days.
Thinking you should be quiet. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You're right. I said I was gonna be my behavior
Mama Rose says, I love the topic, ladies, and I want to hang with you longer, but have an awesome show. Love y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Love you
Much
too,
love.
Mama Rose.
Much love to you. Thank you.
That's my mom.
Carlia says, what do you do when the other person does not want to acknowledge there's an issue? Wow. That's a
Wow,
great
that's a
question.
good one. That's a good one. Wow.
One of the things that I would say is wait in the moment when it's not the heated moment,
Mm-hmm.
and have the conversation in a different way, because we can say what we need to say to help someone see from a different perspective when it's not the heated moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I notice when we're not arguing, when we're not upset, and say, why is it sometimes I notice you do this? Is it, why
Yeah.
do you do that? And then the person like, oh, well, I do that because da 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 da. Well, that's the way I saw my father. And then you're like, got it.
Oh, God.
But
Yeah,
when you're in
exactly.
that moment, it's like, I don't, because if I saw, none of us want to be wrong. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We
Well,
had to learn. I'm sorry, what did you say, Vaughn?
well, I always say when you're wrong, you're right. And when you're right, you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
You would. You would.
You would.
I'm on your side, Vaughn. I'm on your side.
Terrence, don't go to that side.
I got Dawn creating scenarios in the head about the fight scenarios. Like, no.
Right, Dawn might have to tap you on the chin. So,
I'm gonna come to a recon. The chin tapping works for recon. I'm gonna rescue you too. Don't worry about it. Keep you safe.
I didn't say me. I said we. When we right, you right. When you right,
we gotta be in it together. If you're wrong by yourself.
But I would go back to just go back to Carlia's question, is really finding, it's almost like if the relationship is worth it, then I need to help you get there to see. I can't make you, but how can I have conversations with you when it's not confrontational, to then have a talk about it? And then maybe it's something as, maybe we need to go to we can go to a group counseling session, or we need to go to counseling to be able to address those issues or that reason. Because if I never think I'm wrong, then there's something wrong with me. But how do I say that to the person that I love, and help them see?
You know what's so funny, to piggyback off of that? Like, my mother and her sisters, I don't know where they got this from, but they always tell us, "I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong." I'm like, how's that possible? Like, what? I remember being a kid and hear my mother, my aunt say that. I'm like, your guys are never wrong. Like, never. Like,
yeah, I've seen that.
That's mom logic.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen people that I see them in both sides, because you could be with a person, they argue, and then when you try to come at them in a calm state, as what you're saying, Dr. E, with a calm state atmosphere, they're still, their heart is where they was when they wasn't in that calm state. And that's where, like what you said, you have to go maybe talk to someone or see which way, because when someone's heart is stern, you're not getting around that.
Yeah,
I don't care. It doesn't matter where you go. They and when you do try to come at them nice, they think you're trying to butter up to them. They think the reason why you coming to them because you was wrong, and they was right. So when a person is, and when a person's heart is like that, you have to analyze and take and say, hey, wait a minute, hold up, what do I need to do? Because like you said, Doctor, we might have to go and talk But if the person's heart is still that way, we may have to separate for a little while or do something, because if it keeps going on like this, it's just going to be one side of the relationship and not both sides of it.
That's very true.
I agree with that. That goes back to what Lady Dawn B was saying about, if we keep tippy toeing around
walking on eggshells,
right, around the issue, then everyone else is conforming with you, and that person is never. I mean, I think it's like if it's like a guy and he has a good guy friend that you're friends with who can have that man-to-man conversation with them, being like, hey, your friend, because they know it too, and maybe have that conversation with the person. I mean, I think it all depends on what it is. So I hope that helped. We have some more comments.
I think it just lastly I want to say, I think it has again a lot to do with the person's norm, because what you see as an issue, someone else might see as their normal, and this is where we get the statement, "It's just how I am."
Yeah, people say that too. Like,
so then I see the issue.
Like this is my makeup. This is who I am. Like, yeah.
So
that doesn't make it right.
Exactly, it doesn't. But it absolutely does not.
Well, that's why
I think
they right when it's wrong. When you wrong,
okay, Vaughn.
You have to make the decision. You have to make a decision on how you're going to move. In the situation. You can't always leave it up to the other person to have the power to control the narrative. You got to decide for you. When you start saying, I'm not trying to convince you that there's an issue if I'm telling you there's an issue, even if I'm the issue. But it's like, okay, sometimes we got to go out separate ways.
I guess from even from my parents' generation is always like, have your wife, happy life. And like, I've seen it. I lived it. I see like my uncles, my father, they don't say nothing. They don't talk back. I'm like, really? I'm like, really? Like, how's this working? I'm like, how's this? And I remember going to my parents' household, and I was the only one who spoke up to my mother. My mother was like, you know what? 2 Canes can't live in the same house. I'm like, 2 Canes can't live in the same house? Like, what? I was like, what is this? She was like, I'm always right. I'm like, how is that possible? How are you always right? But that goes that's how she was taught, and she remained that way. And my father was just a yes man. I was like, Dad, like, come on. Like, well,
I see the interview.
Your father said, stay out of grown folks' business.
He's like, Terrence, just sit down. I'm like, come on. Mom's not always right.
Making it worse for your father. You wasn't that side. You was making it worse for your dad. He's like, that's you get $3 for your allowance instead of $25. That's what
you're like, you're not getting no tickets this week. I'm not buying no tickets this week. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh man, come on. But yeah, to go back to what Vaughn says, that some people are just like their heart is that's who they are. Yeah, it's hard for them to change it, and it's like, wow. Because like you said, like to you as well, Don. Like people just conform themselves around that person. And it's like, wow, this is, and it's like once you have like 30, 40 years of being that way, it's very hard to break down.
It's harder to change.
It's hard to change.
I see the interview with Club Damon Wayans on Club Shay Shay, and he was saying the way he was treating women when he was young, because he seen that way his mom was saying certain things to his dad when he came home and he didn't have nothing for the family. She used to get on him like, what's wrong with you? And he was like, I mean, really get on her dad. But he was like, but he loved her to death. Even when she passed, it was nothing bad about her. That's even though she was saying and doing all this because she wanted a better life and wanted a night, because they were living in the project and she wanted a better life. He said when she passed, it's like his life like changed. He still talked about it because he loved her so much. It's like it goes back to where they were young. And I was like, wow. And I guess like what you saying, Terrence, I guess the men is just looking at it that's just the way she is.
Yeah, that's
just the way that's her personality. That's how she's always been. I am able to take it and I'll be sitting there and be like, wait a minute, hold up. Are you serious?
That was me. I'm like,
can I step in for a second and say this? I think one of the things that we're looking at is here, or in this particular instance, this was a couple that had been together for many, many years. Now we're also looking at older adults, as we talk on this platform, saying for those that say, hey, I want to be in a relationship. So if you want to be in a relationship, that person hasn't been with you when you was 18, 19, you at this big old age, and people are like, I'm not doing that. Right.
Like
because we have come to a point that we'd be like, I'll be by myself before I X, Y, and Z. Even when Terrence talked about his parents, Terrence, how long have your parents been married?
My mother and my father been together since they was 15 years old, and they still together now. That's 57 years.
Right. So he got 57 years of training that he will tolerate. And but if we look at it and say,
you don't even know what to do outside of this.
We know also different.
I still think it's still just, yes, they've been together for a amount of years, but it's just not, she wasn't like, she didn't pick that up. She still was like that when they first met, and as they was going on, he was able, and a lot of men, a lot of men, because it still happened in this day and time. They are just, some men or women are able to put up with that and able to deal with that. It could be something they picked up, or they may have a personality that they're able to condone that and deal with that. Just like, because David Wayne said that's the reason why he was doing what he was doing when he seen how his mother was doing.
But no, I give my father credit. Like, he was that guy who was go back and forth at the very beginning. And later on, he was like, I put my gloves up. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not gonna argue. So like, I did see his transition, but when I did see the transition, I'm like, why are you giving up? Like, what happened? Like, what's going on? He's like,
and some men,
because some things are not worth the fight.
You know and also like, in their defense, they didn't have this. They didn't have all this counseling. Like, counseling was like a thing. There was no such thing as counseling back then. It was like, mind your business, stay out of your parents' business, stay out of your mother's business. It was like, like you try to tell the grandma told you shut up. You try to tell your aunt, you shut up. It's like, it's like nobody was trying to hear you. It's like everybody was like the older generation, they was just like rocks. They was like, this is what we're doing. This is what happened in the household, and that's it. It's like, okay, and whatever happened at your aunt household, that's done. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
Okay. So wait, let's just say, Theo said, for real, we have to do the work so we can take responsibility and manage our own EQ. Yeah, we have to manage our own emotional intelligence. So the first thing about that is being self-aware. Janelle said, Dawn, you are not alone. Chin check. I'm changed. Got some violent evil on it.
You got your chin ball.
You get chin checked. You get tapped on the chin.
I'm changing. I'm reformed. Reformed.
Hey,
okay, that's a good thing. That's good.
All right. Anae said,
34 hours?
Anae said, my healthiest relationships were those that were my rough edges, were patterned but not pacified. Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good.
And I think when we're in a healthy relationship, one of the things it will allow us, it will put the mirror up to us. And if we think the relationship is worth it, right, then we will change, because we will change for who we want to change for.
That's true. And we will put our barriers down, and we'll eventually put our barriers down once we like. I could open up to you. I could take off this chin guard, and I'll be all right, and we can work it out.
Wait, I'm gonna read this, and then we're gonna get to Mike. William Michael Barbie said, "Listen to Mr. Muscle Terrence talk, and soft and kind." Last week, the brother was like, "I'm big."
He said, "Unhurt somebody."
Yeah, listen, you all got to change somehow.
Yeah, he was Mr. Chin Check.
I'm sorry. All right. Welcome to the show. I'm sorry. Welcome to the show.
I love it.
Okay.
Mike, what do you have to say about this topic?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I was listening to everyone, and I think I can sum it up in a few words. I think the key to a long relationship and what Terrence's parents went through was that you got to find a male has to be a company man, all right? But you just got to love the CEO that's running your company, and that's the woman. If a man can put his trust in a woman to say, hey, you run the show, I'll be the provider, I'll be this, I'll be that, whatever. It's not that many women out here that's willing to do that and that's capable of doing that to some men. Not saying that there aren't any women out here that can do that anymore. I'm sure there are, but when the union comes together, when the male is allowing that woman and finds that woman who he entrusts to run that company, then I think everything works. But I just think that connection isn't there as much because women are doing their thing, men are doing another thing, and we're just not coming together in a union to let that company exist.
I like that.
It's true, yeah.
So-
like I said, I've
Okay.
definitely seen it. I definitely seen like I saw the transition. My parents, my father being the person that was aggressive, to like as I got in my 20s and 30s, he was like calming down. I was like, okay, he's saying yes. I'm like, but I was still being a person. I was still being me. Like, Mom, you wrong. Mom, you wrong. She said, no, I'm not wrong. I'm like, my father, like, Terrence, don't. I'm like, oh. Say, Terrence, don't. Terrence, go home. All right, I'm going home. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, you're wrong. I'm like, come on. It's like, what's happening right here? So then, even to this day, like, as much as they bicker and argue, when I walk in their house, they stop. They're like, okay, the baby's here. I'm like, yeah, I'm not hearing all this. This Sanford
They stop arguing because
this Sanford and Esther thing going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing the Sanford Son thing no more. Like, when I'm here, that's over. And they respect it. I'm like, you gotta stop this. This is too much.
But that's
my
their
brother
way
over
of
here,
communicating.
my brother
Like.
be on the couch crying, laughing. I'm like, you feed into this. Like, what are you doing? And he'd be like, oh, this is great. I'm like, this is not an episode. This is every day, man. But like I said, I love them and I love who they are. I love how they work together. And to this day, they're like the same person. At one point, I can run to my father, hey, Dad, listen, I got in a fight. I did this. Don't tell Mom. He won't. But to this day, I can't do that. Now they like, if I tell one person, they're fine on me. Like, hey, well, Terrence, Mommy told me this. I'm like, what? I told Mom not to tell you. I'm like, what's happening here?
Right.
But I love
got you out the house and they can talk better.
They sure did.
Yeah, so like I love how they are now. They're they're the same person. It's like so now I'm at the point if I gotta say something, whether it's something about my old past and I did, I can speak to both of them. I can speak to both of them at the same time. Even my mother will blow up quickly. My father will always tell her like, hey, let Terrence speak, because like I said, I'm a baby. I don't want who got all the trouble. So my mother, she's always on like, oh Terrence will get it. I'm like, I'm not. Trouble days is over for me. I'll just let you know what happened. Me being a middleman, I'm always outside and always getting stuff. But I'm very verbal with my parents. I communicate with them. I tell them everything, and I love the feedback I get from them. So yes, I love how they are today. They take care of each other. They make sure one person has this, one person has that. And I take care of them as a son. I make sure they have everything they need. Everything's working in the house. Make sure the stuff is working.
Is it okay, Mike?
I'm going to jump.
Oh, go ahead. Is it okay, Mike, that we I know you said business. Is it okay for the man be the CEO and the woman be the COO?
Can't.
She can't be the chief operating officer. She can't be the chief operating officer.
Yes.
See, the woman ego will not allow that.
Oh wow.
We have the
Mike,
male
you
ego.
was doing so good.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Okay.
He was.
I'm still a man. I gotta keep it real.
Yeah.
Finish
the
that
woman,
thought. Let's hear this thought.
Yeah.
you have the male ego,
Uh,
which is more machismo, and you have the woman ego, which is even greater machismo.
oh my goodness! I
So-
just thought of something. I just thought of something.
It just presents itself differently.
Right.
The woman's ego is more mouthy,
Okay.
and that's no disrespect.
No,
That's no
because
disrespect.
Dawn is not Molly. Dawn gets the.
It's more finesse. Let me say, more finesse. All right, that's better. That's a better word. More finesse, but is more is grand, is more grand than the male. The male is limited in words,
Mm-hmm.
more in posture, in presence, but the female ego presents itself more verbally, and therefore the conflict when the man becomes the CEO, so to speak, is in conflict with the women. And I think if you really analyze that, you will see that in most relationships.
Mm. Okay. Well, I would let Dr. E.
Yeah, yeah.
Lady Dawn B, we're gonna need William Michael Barbie, but no, Lady Dawn B.
No, but
what
I
say
was just
ye?
I see what you said, but it seems like the picture that you're painting, it would be more so that she still would be a good COO, Chief Operating
Yeah,
Officer,
she could be too. Yeah, she can be. Yeah.
than a CEO, because a CEO would more so sit back, right? And
Let
he
you
knows
run the
how to
show.
analyze
Yeah.
and understand what is going on in the executive board, and then he will. That's what you just explained with the woman. That will be a good COO, unless the woman don't want you to be the CEO.
CEO. Yeah,
She
it's true.
wants
I
you
agree
to
with
kick
you
it
on that.
out.
All
I agree
right,
with
let
you
me
on
let
that.
me let me step in here
Yes,
for a second.
yes, definitely.
I
Yeah.
think when we're looking at relationships, right?
Mhm.
Because I'll speak for myself, and I'm almost quite sure I can speak for Lady Dawn B. We
Mhm.
want the men in our lives to be the head of the household.
Of
Mhm.
course.
We can be, we can, in terms of saying, can you be the COO? Because we want the men in our lives to be able to lead, but also hear us and value, because our job, and I'm gonna go back to what Vaughn says, as a good COO, we're gonna be able to make sure everything's operating the way it needs to operate. I think when we talk about, I don't think it's necessary ego as much as it is understanding where he is, and are you compatible? So I think you have a lot of times where you say, people can say women run, oh, she just runs over, and not in the case where you're talking about your parents, Terrence, but because somehow they're not equally yoked. So it's kind of, we're going to stay here, or we're going to go along to get along, not necessarily. There's not a power struggle, because maybe she does hold, and I'm gonna use the word, the power. I'm not talking about finances. I'm not talking about just a stronger personality. But for the most part, I believe that most women, and ladies, don't be if I'm wrong, um, we want a man that can lead, but also lead and listen.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to lead, but I also need you to listen, because when you have the right partner, they're going to see what you don't see.
That's true.
I'll stop there. Lady Dawn B.
I agree, and I think in listening to Mike, what I really was hearing for me is the terms in which, and I do like how you put it in that sense, but it sounded more along the lines of not ego, but about how we express. It's how we expressing it. You say women are more, mouthy, so to speak, which we might be more verbal. Women are not. Y'all are more action oriented initially. Women, I think we verbalize because we want to understand, because being a good COO, I need to understand what the needs are. And when you put it on the table, what the needs are, I'm going to break it down to the smallest components and every nuance of how we need to make this happen. So I can definitely agree. And I like that, like Dr. E, listen, I'm just going to put it in Lady Dawn B terms. Listen, we tired. Okay? We tired. I don't have a problem with you leading. Sir, please do. Please come take your place. Do what you do. I don't care what we eat. I don't care where we go on vacation. I don't care what car we drive. I don't care what day we go shopping. I do not care where the kids go to college. I just want them to go to college. I don't care. I trust you. If I can't be with you to trust you to make those decisions, then I don't need to be in that space, or we have to learn how to build a different understanding with each other. And I'm only saying that in the sense of I don't care what you, because I expect you to know what I would like to a degree, because we've been together, so you would know me in some type of way. And I think it's a point of whether it's we're in partnership or is this a dictatorship? Because any good leader, on my job, I'm a supervisor. I have to listen to the needs of my team. I have to listen to when they are, I know what their jobs are, but I need to listen to how they're feeling about how it's getting done. So that I can go back, and if I can improve something, if I can improve something and make it run smooth, I want you to want to do your job or fulfill your role as easily and willingly as possible. That's how we are in partnership with each other. I cannot please them all the time. Some things, is just what it is. But in the relationship space, absolutely, I don't have a problem with you leading, but please do lead. If you're going to, then do.
We have a super chat, so we need to read that super chat. So please, let's get to the super chat. We're always excited when super chats come in. And for those of you who know, so Bravo with Sheila said, so happy you're here to support this great show. Two people must understand the hard wiring in each other. When nothing changes, nothing changes. One shift in a relationship can change the dynamics for the better. Thank you, Bravo with Sheila, and thank you for that super chat. So
awesome.
We are always excited for the super chats. This is a great conversation, and you guys know we are past our 8 o'clock hour, and I am a timekeeper, and we still didn't get to our clips. And so, guess what we're gonna do next week? Right back on the same topic. And we're going to start with the clips. And we thank you. I know there were a lot of people talking in the chat. To Teresa, to William Michael Barbie says, this further supports the need for Mondays Beyond the Mic platform. Some of the Harton brothers are opening up to hear the feelings and to feel something different. Dr. E and Lady Dawn, kudos to you. We thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I do appreciate that, because this is about us growing together. This is about us growing together. And I think we are understanding who we are, because like I said, we heard about red flags, but what about green flags? We know about what bad relationships look like. Let's start to figure out how we want our relationships to look good, to grow, and that we can be better together. So we're going to wrap up tonight. I'm going to give the panel an opportunity to say something, and you're going to come back next week. Join us. I think we're going to really get through this next week, ladies on B. So, part 3. There we go, Steph. So you already know we talk about fighting fair. So, Vaughn, we're going to let you go first, and then Terrence, Mike, and then Lady Dawn B, and I'll have the last word.
Thank you for having me up. It's been a great show. Blessings to all of y'all. Terrence, Lady Dawn B, my man Mike, and Dr. E. Great show. Much wisdom that everyone spoke today. I'm going to have to do a repeat so I can gather more information. But it's been a great show. Much love and respect.
Well, thank you. Come back next week. Always welcome. Terrence?
Not getting chit chat. I am not coming back getting chit chat.
Well, once again, thanks for having me. Part of this. This is a great, learning experience for me, and Blessings to everybody. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
You're
Mike.
welcome.
Great show, great topic. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Lady Zombie.
I just want to speak on behalf of all the reform people. You're in a safe space. It's okay for us to be vulnerable and share because we're better now. Okay? Learn to put my hands in my pockets and use my nice words. But seriously, I think everyone is looking for the proper partnership. And with that in mind, we have to go into relationships of all kinds, being the proper partner. Just make sure you have the right tools, know your capacity, be mindful and honest about what you can handle and really what you're willing to manage at this point. I always say start with self. Start with self. When you become the best version of you, you'll show up as the best part of you for someone else.
All right. And I would just end the show by saying this. We have to learn to wait because a lot of times we connect with the wrong people and then it blindsides us to the right person that's trying to walk into our lives to be so that we can be, in the words of Mike McDonald, that CEO and COO that works together in harmony because
Make
we're
sure
looking
within
at
10
the
business days,
wrong
though.
things. Right, right. No, somebody said only 5 or 3. So you need to be able to see that person and put them in the respect that you have for them, and you have a mutual respect for each other. It's dominating each other. It's about respecting how can we walk together. And I'm going to say we're in Holy Week. The Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So find the
Amen.
person that you can agree with the right way, not just agreeing for the sake of agreeing, but you two are on the same page, walking in the same direction, wanting the same things out of life. And with that, I say good night and thank you for watching another episode of Monday Beyond the Mic. Have a great one.
All I do is try